Okay, this looks like a fun problem. It's got a lot of factoring and a lot of foiling and a lot of work that we're going to have to do together, but it doesn't. Let's have some fun with it anyway. So on the left we have x minus 1 squared. X minus 1 squared is x squared minus 2x plus 1, either by the perfect square trinomial formula, but I'm not a big fan of formulas. You can also just FOIL this out and see that that's the answer. On the right hand side we have 2x squared minus 7x plus 5. Okay, that's our first stage, was foiling out the left hand side, or distributing out the left hand side, so that way we have all of our terms expanded. Now we're going to collect all like terms on one of the sides of the equation. For this one, let me move everything to the right, so that way I keep my leading coefficient positive. This is a preference that I prefer to do in this case. I'm going to minus x squared, I'm going to add 2x, and I'm also going to subtract 1. I like to do all of these simultaneously, and whatever you do to one side, I'm just making sure I do it to the other side, so I keep my equation balanced like a scale. On the left hand side, everything's going to cancel because of my choices. That leaves me with a 0. And on the right hand side I have a 2x squared minus an x squared, so that's a nice x squared. I have minus 7x, but I'm adding 2x, so these are enemies, and it looks like the 7's going to win here by 5. And then 5 minus 1 is just 4. So we have x squared minus 5x plus 4. Okay, now the nice thing about this form is that we are now in a factorable form. So we really just have to think of two numbers. We need one of which adds. We need two numbers that add to negative 5 and multiply to be 4. And so if you think about it for a moment there, that's going to be negative 1 and negative 4, of course, because negative 1 times negative 4 is 4. Negative 1 plus negative 4 is negative 5. Okay, so that's the completing of that. And so that means this factors into x minus 1, x minus 4. Okay, from this stage, since we have two things multiplying to be 0, we're going to apply our zero product property and say, well, either the first one equals 0, or on the other hand, perhaps the other one equals 0. One of these has to be 0, and then just by the last second arithmetic here, or the algebra, we get x equals 1, or add 4 to both sides of this one to get x equals 4. So this particular equation has two solutions, x equals 1 or x equals 4. So pause the video and try this one out on your own, very similar. And assuming you took a shot and tried it on your own, I'm going to first do 2y squared plus 17y plus 21. And on the right hand side, I'm going to FOIL or distribute out the perfect square y plus 7 squared, which would be y squared plus 14y plus 49. Now, in this one, instead of moving to the right, I'm going to move to the left, because this will allow me to keep that leading coefficient being positive. So in this stage, I'm going to subtract y squared, subtract 14y, subtract 49, because I'm going to eliminate everything on the right. But whatever you do to one side of an equation, you need to keep balance, so I need to put it over to the other side also. It's just like the force, we got to keep it balanced here. Okay, so if we do this correctly, it looks like on the left-hand side we have 2y squared minus y squared, which is just y squared. 17 minus 14, which would be positive 3 or plus 3y. 21 minus 49, which would be a negative 28, because the 49 wins that battle. And because of our choices, all we have left on that side is equals 0. And now we're ready for that zero product property again. This time we need two numbers that add to 3, multiply to negative 28. So if we think about that for a second, that's going to be, let's see, 7 and negative 4, because 7 times negative 4 is negative 28, and 7 plus negative 4 is 3. So therefore, we have y plus 7, y minus 4, add or multiply to be 0. And so by the zero product property, either y plus 7 equals 0, or y minus 4 equals 0. The first equation would yield y equals negative 7, subtracting 7 off of both sides. And the right-hand equation would yield, add 4 to give us y equals 4. So either y equals negative 7 or y equals 4.